Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anandita, but you can just call me Anna. This is my October 2025 wrap-up slash my initiation into the Magical Readathon hosted by Book Roast. Now I know that I'm 4 years and 2 months late. I think I first stumbled upon the Magical Readathon in 2023, and I had really wanted to participate in it, but for some reason I just couldn't stick to it. There were a few months where I actually tried, and I would either end up reading other books or I would just fall off of reading entirely for that month, and I just never ended up committing to it. This time is going to be different. I actually joined the Discord group and I managed to read all of the books that I needed to complete the novice path and the character creation. I'm also aware that according to the Discord guidelines, it's unnecessary to do the novice path anymore. For me, it just didn't feel right not doing it, so I decided to do it this month. And I'm hoping that by the time April rolls around next year, I'll be able to join the first semester at Aurelium. Just a little background on my character. My character's name is Talia DuPont. She has an urban background. She's from the province of Dark Meadow, and she is an elf. I do technically know what my house is because, again, I did try to start this challenge multiple times in the past, so I'm probably just going to stick to the same one that I was sorted into. But I believe I would read the books for those prompts in the first semester. I'm not exactly sure. I kind of decided after October started that I would commit to the Magical Readathon. So the first book that I read in October is not actually part of it. The first book I read in October was Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. Well, I really liked the first book in the series, Red Rising, but for some reason, Golden Sun just didn't hit the same way that the first book did. I am a sucker for like the arena fight to the death kind of trope, and I think that could play a big part in why I liked the first book. The first book also had a better flow than the second one did. I actually saw someone's review about this book after I read it. They said that the parts where the characters were just talking were boring to them, and it's actually, I find that really funny because those are the parts of the book that I really enjoyed. It was the action and fight scenes that I felt like really dragged for me. And I think a lot of that was because I didn't really understand the equipment or weaponry that the characters were using. I mean, I don't remember if they were mentioned in the first book. If they were, then that's a me problem, I guess. I just have a goldfish memory. It did kind of take me out of the action scenes when I would have to stop and think like, oh, what is a man of war? Even the weapon that the golds would carry, the one that they would sometimes wrap around their arm or have hanging off of their hip, it was hard to picture what that looked like. I still don't really know what that should look like. I gave Red Rising 5 stars, I think, and then I gave Golden Sun 4 stars because I think the writing and the plot were still good. Still think it's a good book, and I still really like the series, and I would still read the next book. I feel like I sound so monotone. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. The next book that I read in October is also the first book I read for the Magical Readathon. To complete the novice path, you have to complete 2 of the prompts on the map. The first one that I chose is the novice path entrance, and the prompt for that was read a book with a map. For that prompt, I chose How the King of Elfhame Learned to Eat Stories by Holly Black. This is a companion novel to the Cruel Prince series. For those of you who don't know about the Cruel Prince series, it is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance and follows a human girl living in a fae world. This book in particular follows one of the main characters in the series, King Cardan. It's a little bit of King Cardan's backstory and a little bit of his point of view during the events of the original series. If I'm being honest with you, I don't have a lot of memory of what happened, and it's only been like 3 weeks. But I guess it didn't really leave a strong impression. It's a pretty short book. It's kind of meant to be like a companion novel to the main series. But I will say that I really did enjoy the original series, so it was kind of fun to just re enter that world for a short period of time. I don't feel like it added much to the main story, though. I think I gave it 4 stars just because I am a fan of the original series, and it was good. I just don't feel like it added many new things to the story. And maybe that's not what it was meant to do, and that's okay. The second location on the novice path that I completed was Ruin of the Sky, and the prompt for that was read a book featuring ghosts slash a haunted house or other supernatural elements, which is actually really perfect for October. The book I chose for that prompt was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I really enjoyed reading this, especially because it was like the perfect time for this kind of book. It was October and it's like spooky season, and you're just kind of in the mood to read something scary like this. Had to check that my microphone is still on because you never know. While I was reading the book, my husband tried to scare me and he was successful. I almost kicked him in the face. There were some points when I got frustrated with the characters a little bit. The scenes that involved the siblings were really frustrating to read. I think that might have been the author's intention, but it was just so frustrating listening to some of the dialogue. But I do feel like the concept was done really well. The book was really creepy. It had a really good plot. I wouldn't say that it's super obvious, but I wouldn't say that it is very difficult to figure out either. Yeah, I mean, I just really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. After reading this, I'm really excited to read more of Grady Hendrix books. The next book I read was to complete the background for my character in the Magical Readathon. The prompt for that was read a book set in a city or town. For that prompt, for that prompt, I chose Juniper and Thorn by Thord. For that prompt, I chose Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid. This book follows a girl, Marlinkin. This book follows a witch whose name is Marlinchin or Marlinkin. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it's either Marlinchin or Marlinkin. I'm just going to go with Marlinchin because I think that sounds better. She lives with her 2 sisters who are also witches, as well as her wizard father. The city that they live in is moving from magic to industry. So her sisters and her father are kind of a little bit like spectacle for the people that live in their city. Their father is very controlling and he's very xenophobic. He doesn't like the immigrants that are coming to their city, and he keeps a tight leash on his daughters. But little does he know that his daughters are sneaking out at night to enjoy the revelry of the city. And during one of these little outings, Marlinchin meets a boy. Same time, there's a monster kind of hunting people in the city. There wasn't a lot of world building in this book, but I think the information that you do get about the world is just enough. And I feel like everything kind of made sense. It was believable. I also really like that the magic was very specific. If you wanted to treat someone's illness, depending on the weather, you would need to use certain herbs or administer the cure in a certain way. And I thought that was very interesting. It was almost like scientific in a way. I think I kind of expected this book to be a 5-star prediction. I think I rated it a 4 on Goodreads, but I think it really deserves higher than that. I just don't know if it was a 5-star read for me. I do think that this book should come with a trigger warning, so if you are sensitive to certain subjects, I would look into the triggers before picking up this book. The next book that I read in October was to complete the heritage prompt for my character, and I don't remember what my heritage is. My character's heritage is an elf, so the prompt for that was read a book with a moon or stars on the cover or in the title. For that prompt, I chose A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I liked the book in the beginning, but as I kept reading, I felt like a lot of the characters and what they were doing and how they were portrayed, and also the plot, felt like a lot of it was just not very believable. I feel like the book tries to create certain images, but I feel like it didn't have enough evidence to support those claims. I also feel like the ending was a little bit rushed, and I feel like there was a lot of things that were left unexplained, and it kind of just left me wanting more. I think the words that first popped into my head when I finished this book was just not enough. I don't think there was enough explanation for why things were the way they were. But I did really like the writing style, and I enjoyed reading the parts that involved Hester and Richard. I think that might have been my favorite part about the book. All of the characters that were meant to be likable were very likable. I think the plot and the villains are what I had trouble believing. The last book that I read in October was for my character's province, which is Dark Meadow, and the prompt for that is read a dark academia. The book I chose for that prompt was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is my 3rd attempt at reading this book. I've tried twice in the past to read it, and every time I did, I would maybe get 2 chapters in at most, and I would lose interest and I would put it down. This time I didn't feel that way for some reason, maybe because I was really determined to give this book a chance, and I'm really glad that I did. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought. I think a lot of that might be because I'm biased towards anything that's about Greek mythology or Greek epics or Greek tragedy, anything that involves like ancient Greece. I usually tend to enjoy a lot. This book follows a group therapist named Mariana who is called into Cambridge when a friend of her niece Zoe is found dead. She herself attended Cambridge University and she goes back to sort of help Zoe through this difficult time. And Mariana kind of fixates on one of the professors there, Edward Fosca. Mariana kind of becomes obsessed with Edward Fosca as the murderer. She kind of spirals out of control in the process. I liked that it kind of read like a whodunit mystery. Mariana is kind of acting like a detective and trying to figure out who is committing these murders. I had some theories about the ending as I was reading, and I was partly right, but there were definitely parts that I didn't expect. And I really liked that. I think I gave this book a 4.5 on Goodreads. I think it was well written and very atmospheric and very fitting for the dark academia genre. That wraps up the books that I read in October, as well as the books that I've read to join the Magical Readathon. I'm so excited to participate in this readathon. I have been wanting to for the longest time, and I'm so excited for April. Thank you again for watching my video, and if you watched up to this point, I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.